Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to a brand new F1 Esports World Championship video. We're heading towards round number 10 of the F1 Esports World Championship. Driving around Brazil today. Never won here before in F1 Esports. I came close last year after a bad qualifying. Started P14 on the grid, finished P3 if my memory serves me correct. But I had an incident which cost me a chance at winning the race, unfortunately. And yeah, today we are gonna try and win again though. We won last time around in Mexico, and as you can see, 14 points ahead of Thomas Ronnaar, 15 points ahead of Ismail Fassi, 20 points ahead of Barry Bormand. And in the constructors, we're finally leading again for the first time this year. 9 points ahead of Merck. We were 50 points behind at some point, but we've managed to crawl it all back. Especially the last race in Mexico was a very big one, of course, where I won the race, Freddy finished P4, and then Merck didn't score a lot of points. Same in Kota, both me and Fred had a quite strong result with P3 and P4, and I think Merck scored very, very little points there as well, and that was their lead gone basically. So let's try and extend that lead into the final 2 rounds of the championship. But first up is gonna be qualifying. First lap in Q1. As per usual, we're gonna try and make it into Q2 on a single set of tires, which gives us then a better shot at pole position. You can see, as per usual, covering of my ERS. I'm probably gonna have complaints again. Why are you covering up your ERS? Well, first of all, the game we're driving is not the same as the game you guys are playing at home, and that's one of those things is ERS. It is slightly different, so if you would copy it, it would be useless. It won't be the same. It will make you slower compared to what the top guys on the normal game do. And second of all, I do not want to show it to my rivals. Obviously next year's game might be different again, but there's also different stuff under the hut that sometimes I don't care if they see it. So sometimes you might be able to see it, but this time I've made it a little bit bigger because I want certain stuff not to be seen. Or maybe I do, but I'm just playing mind games. You will never know. But yeah, we made it into Q2 on the single set of tires. And yeah, that's important. 106.420. You can see how close the grid is again. P2 to P14 within a tenth. If Otis did not set a banger lap there, it would have been a lot closer from P1 to P14. But still, the gaps are very small again. As per usual, around Brazil, it's always very, very close around Brazil. It's the same on Zandvoort. And yeah, that was our used tire run at the start of Q2. Nicolas Longay goes slightly faster, but that was a really good lap. That was used tires, and that was faster than what we did in Q1. So that was a very welcoming surprise. First new set of tires in Q2 though, only P5. Not so lovely. So we're gonna have to get faster here. Simple as that. Here in our final run of Q2, we're gonna have to improve because that lap is not gonna be enough to make it into Q3. So half a tenth through turn 1, 2, 3. That's very nice, very lovely. And quite a clean turn 4 as well, nothing special. Backend was a little bit unstable there throughout the whole session. I was struggling with the car being a little bit unstable throughout the whole session in general, so that made it hard. Bit of a hesitation on turn-in. You can see that aggressive turn-in that we do to slow down the car. But obviously sometimes the car just grips up really aggressively if you do it, and then you just turn in way too early into the corner, so you have to turn out of the corner again and do the same aggressive steering. But yeah, this has been quite a clean lap, a little bit slow into the final corner, but that exit was still really, really good. And this is going to be enough to make it into Q3 for sure, because as you can see, quite a few people have finished their laps already, and we're still in P6, so that previous lap might have actually been enough. But we finished the lap anyway, just to make sure. A 106.216 puts us P2 behind our teammate Freddy Rasmussen. Thomas Ronnaar does improve on us and splits both me and Freddy. So very lovely. And as you can see there as well, our championship rival Ismail Fassi out in Q2. And that feels like the first time this year that he has gone out in Q2. I was very surprised. Yeah, seems like this is a good chance to extend the championship to him. Unfortunately, there is Thomas Ronar in P2, of course. He's always up there in qualifying. That's one guarantee. If you want to be close to him in quali, you're gonna have to be top 5. Simple as that. So on to Q3 we go. You can see 5.5 minutes remaining, and we already had a delta. I set a lap time on the used tires, which was not a great lap, I'm not gonna lie. And turn 4, again, very unstable through there, and that was a big time loss through there. We lost a tenth to used tires, so realistically it was probably a 1.5 tenth loss. And around this track, that is just huge. You can see as soon as we get into the middle sector, we start gaining time again to our used tires, simply because we have slightly more grip. Tire wear is not too bad around here because it is such a short lap. So yeah, let's see what we can do here. First run, first new set of tire run. We got 2 new sets of tires, of course. And it's a 50.401 as we head into the final sector. That's not good. This is not going to be a good lap. This is not going to be even close to pole position. So we finally had the new set of tires, and we've kind of ruined it. It's P8, and I reckon we could have beaten that on used tires if we would do a good lap. So it's all going to come down to the final lap. Once again, into turn 1 we go. A little bit of hesitation on turn in, trying to get the front to grip up. It's still a gain to the previous lap though, and the previous lap was not bad in turn 1 too. So that is very, very good. 17.0 as we head into the middle sector. Better turn 4 this time around. Rear a lot more stable. You can see the delta. Minus 2 tenths almost as we head into the flat out right-hander. Almost flat out right-hander. Small lift. You can do it flat out if you want. But I would rather save my tires a little bit more for this section. Rear again unstable as we head through the left-hander. Just got so much front end in this car as we head into this right-hander. Good minimum speed. Little bit of a slide on the exit as we head into the final sector. A 106.130. We set a purple middle and we're on for pole position. Through the final corner we go 2 tenths up as we head up the hill towards start finish. Let's see if it is going to be enough for provisional pole position at least. P9 at the moment. We need a good one. It is provisional pole position for now. Freddie Rasmussen, our teammate, comes across the line, sets identical lap times to us. Unfortunately, Joris Cruzen improves on us by 5 1/1000ths of a second. And you can see how close it is. Thomas Ronar across the line and improves again. And once again, for the second time in a row, gets pole position here in Brazil. He had pole in Mexico as well. And yeah, frustrating. Because now he scores an extra point again. And the gap now is 13 points again. He scored 2 points this event already just from pole positions. It's unfortunate. We just made a few too many mistakes on the lap. We're obviously pushing flat out, so there's always going to be some small mistakes in there. But as you can see, as we head on to the race, starting P3, it is going to be a wet race, and it's going to be changeable conditions throughout this race. So that's going to be interesting, very interesting. This championship is obviously far from over, and we need to stay focused. It is lights out and away we go. Nothing special off the line. We got Freddy down our inside. We leave him as much space as possible, even on the apex, just in case he needs the space to stay ahead of another car. This is going to be a long race, so I'm not too rushed into getting ahead of Joris Cruzen. It's top 3 for the Netherlands as well, by the way. Joris Cruzen from the Netherlands as well. Tycho Hardy making his F1 Esports debut as well today. Another Dutchman. So the Netherlands is being represented well here in F1 Esports, that's for sure. Always has been, by the way. We've had loads of F1 Esports drivers from the Netherlands over the past few years. Some have stopped, of course. And a lot making their debut again. So a lot of sim racers from the Netherlands. And yeah, obviously when you're racing, you cannot care too much about it. We're fighting for a championship here, so I don't care if it was freaking, I don't know, Obama ahead of me, or freaking, I don't know, I don't even know what I'm saying. But yeah, the point being is, don't care too much who is ahead of me at this point. We have to get ahead of him, or them, at some point. But as per usual, that first stint in F1 Esports is nothing interesting. It only starts getting interesting when the pit stops start happening, and that's when people want to get on with it. So our teammate Freddie Rasmussen has boxed for a set of the slicks, and we are going to be boxing.
Pit box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out.
Yeah, I get it, buddy, but my teammate is going to be gone from that pit box, I hope so, in about a 1 minute time. If not, I think we have quite a big issue on our hands. So we are boxing it at the end of this one. 4 people have boxed. One of them is our teammate, of course. And the question is, of course, is it the right call? Might have been a little bit too early. You can see it's bone dry, but yeah, the Inters are still performing quite well. Purple first sector for us, and that means the track is improving. That's no secret. But are the slicks fast enough? Joris cruising, sliding around. And yeah, let's see if they come into the box together with us. Otis Lawrence behind us. Not sure where he started. He's been really fast this year, really impressive. But yeah, a little bit too far behind in the championship, I think so at this point. Mathematically, he is obviously still in it. But yeah, realistically maybe not. Let's see. We come into the pits for a new set of the medium tires. And you might be thinking...
And away we go. No problems, very smooth. Red Bull will no doubt be very happy with that stop.
Thank you, Crofty. And you might be thinking, why mediums? 26 laps on a set of the mediums is really long. And it would be. But there's rain coming. There is rain coming again. And it will come in plus minus 10 laps. We don't know exactly, of course. It's always a guess. As Freddie comes out just ahead of Otis there, so that was close. Just made sure Freddie got some slipstream there, and the slicks are working, but they're not quite. You know, it's gonna be close between what's faster, but we need track position. We cannot get undercut. Obviously, if the pace would be the exact same, we would rather stay out an extra lap, so we have freshy tires for the rest of the race. But you can see front's not quite gripping up there, struggling with understeer. These tires are struggling a little bit with firing up. And that's why Freddie was only just ahead of Otis as well. That was so close. You know, 1 or 2 tenths can be crucial in a race like this. Can be crucial for the World Championship. The decisions we make are so important, and the results are so close as Freddie sets the fast lap of the race. So yeah, let's see now where Joris Cruisen and Thomas Ronner are on track. Ideally we are P2 or P1, that's crucial. We come out side by side with Thomas into turn number 4. This is not too exciting because both me and Thomas are experienced enough to know that it doesn't really matter if we're P1 or P2 at this point, because we can overtake each other whenever we want with DRS. But crucially, Freddie ahead of Joris and me ahead of Joris, so we're P1 and P3. And that means we can kind of control this race a little bit. You can see I've used a lot of my battery on that outlap in order to get the undercut, so we're gonna have to recharge over the next few laps a little bit. One interesting point as well, you can see Thomas on the softs, which we were quite surprised about because we don't know exactly how long it's gonna take for rain to hit. And if it takes slightly too long, those softs might not make it. So I was surprised about that. You can see we're just gonna recharge our battery here again. So Thomas gets past, Freddie sets the fast lap of the race. Extra point for that as well, of course, if you get top 10. It did get taken away again, so we need to try and retake that fast lap at some point from Jake Benham, I think so. You saw Fabrizio Donoso setting a faster lap, but he's outside of the top 10, so that's not going to matter. You can see me and Freddie just biding our time. I was thinking about a move into turn 1, but what me and Freddie are trying to do here is get as close as possible into the final corner and then get a double overtake into turn 1, so we are controlling the race from P1 and P2. But that is very difficult due to the dirty air. In F1 Esports, there's more dirty air than in the normal game. And that makes it tough to get really close. You can see we're really close here. But as we head into the fast right-hander, Thomas pulls away. And that's just because we do not have the downforce to stay close. And that's the tricky part. He's obviously on the softs. Those at those points are still faster. But that's not going to take really long anymore. So perhaps we need to bide our time. Perhaps we need to get by as soon as possible because the rain might hit now. We are not sure. So into the final corner we're going to go. Still 4 tenths behind Thomas. And perhaps too far to go for a move. You can see Freddy 4 tenths behind me again. So he's 8 tenths behind Thomas. Thomas won't get DRS, but the straight is just too short. You can see Thomas recharging his battery. I lift. And Freddy goes for it down the inside. And now we both have the inside. I break deep into the corner. Make sure Fred has space on the inside. And now we're suddenly 1 and 2 onto this next back straight. I make sure Freddy gets the slipstream. We do not have DRS, but it doesn't matter because we're far enough ahead. Freddy gets P2. And now we are in P1, P2 controlling this race with 19 laps to go. Freddy has the fastest lap. And this is crucial for the Constructors' Championship because I think Jake is the closest person to being a threat in this race. And he's in P6. I think Danny is not going to score a lot of points. Maybe 1, maybe 2 points. But if me and Fred stay like this, you can see the rain is hitting. So Fred has that extra point for fastest lap if he stays in the top 10. And obviously we're going to try and finish 1-2. And that would be huge. Huge in the championship with only 2 races to go after this. Lap 21. And as you can see there, Freddy once again first into the box. Huge risk, of course, because it is quite early. But at the same time, we have the struggle of having 2 cars at top. We cannot box at the same time because one person would lose 3 seconds. If we just get the pit lap wrong with 1 car by 1 lap, that means at least 1 car is going to get completely screwed over. So it's crucial we get it absolutely spot on in order to get this 1-2. Because if we even lose 3, 4, 5 tenths, then that could mean 1 position, and that could mean we're not getting a 1-2 in this race, and we're not controlling the race, and that's going to make it a whole lot more difficult as well to win this race. So as you can see on this in-lap, we have cooked in these changeable conditions. We gained, I think, half a second, 6 tenths to Thomas behind. So
Confirmed.
Really fast.
We'll receive you at the end of this lap.
Really fast in-lap from us here. Pulling a big gap. Perhaps we could have even continued another lap, but we're just gonna play it safe from here. I hate playing safe strategies, but in this scenario, there's no point in doing anything else than boxing in this lap. I think we could have gone another lap. I think it was quite
a decent time in the pits, and the team will be hoping they can get back into action as fast as possible so they don't lose too much time from this stop.
Yeah, cheers for this very, very meaningful insight, Crofty, but you kind of interrupted me there. Anyway, it just seems like this rain was quite light, and that means the transition was not really fast, you know. The slicks were still performing quite well in this in-lap. You can see the delta to Johnny Torman and Alfie Butcher, they're still out on track. They're taking a risk, but they are at the brink of points, I think so it's well worth for them. And they're not losing a huge amount of time, you know. If anything, the time is staying quite equal. We've gained half a tenth, maybe 2 tenths at this point, to Johnny Tormla. And obviously, because the track is so dry, these tires are not enjoying being driven on a dry track. So, yeah, we have to be careful not to push too hard. We don't know how hard it is going to rain. 14 laps on the intermediates on a semi-dry track would be a long time. So we have to be careful. We have to save these tires as much as possible. Otherwise, we might not make it to the end. And if others do, that means we're not scoring any points. We would have to make an extra pit stop. But yeah, Thomas Horner there, still in P3. Boxed the same lap as me. And 1 lap later compared to Freddy. And finally, DRS being disabled, that was very lovely, because that makes our life a little bit easier, as Freddie and Thomas are going side by side in this middle sector. A little bit of argy-bargy, but Freddie seems to stay ahead at this point. They're still going somewhat side by side into this right-hander, but you can see Freddie is quite far ahead. Thomas getting a 3-second penalty. That will be removed, simply because they remove warnings for battling. You know, it would be ridiculous if you have a little bit of contact, you go wide, and then you get a penalty for that, you know. So that is the correct decision to make. You can see we've got a 1.1 second gap to Freddie. We're not trying to break away from slipstream here. We want Freddie to be within a 1 second window, so he gets slipstream, and that way we're helping him in the battle with Thomas as well. Obviously, we got 1 lap fresher tires than Freddie. We had to split the strategy, and yeah, at least this way we can somewhat pay Freddie back towards all his help in the past few races, because arguably we would not be leading the championship at all if it wasn't for his help. So yeah, in these past few laps I had a lot more tires left than Freddie, so I could have pulled the gap, but at the same time it would be a risk for us, and at the same time then perhaps Freddie would have not finished second here and he would have finished third. And every point counts in this championship, both constructors and drivers. So we want Fred to be as close as possible on the straight and as far away as possible in this middle sector. So every time we went in the middle sector, I pushed, used my tires, pulled the gap, and then through this section I slowed down a little bit and made sure Fred got a nice slipstream up the hill here. And as you can see, it worked, because Fred managed to stay ahead of Thomas, and I think this is going to be our first 1-2 for me and Fred.
Nice one, very lovely drive. On to the next one.
And that was indeed a very lovely drive. 1-2 with the fastest lap. The only point we missed was for pole position, and we came quite close to that as well. Crucially, you can see Merck P5 and P10. It means they score 11 points. Me and Fred scored 44 points that race, so we extend the gap by 33 points before penalties. Obviously, me and Fred didn't do anything wrong that race, so yeah, we scored 33 points. I'm not sure what happened down the rest of the field, but yeah, very lovely. 2 wins in a row, our 3rd win this season. Could have been our 4th win actually. Obviously, Jeddah kind of got taken away a little bit from us, but yeah, you can't have everything you go your way in a season. You want to, as we're spraying invisible champagne on the podium, but yeah, near perfect race. It was not the most interesting race. We did not have to come back through the field, go on an alternate strategy, but it is a very lovely one. 44 points in the constructors and 25 in the drivers, extending our championship lead by 9 points. And now we're leading by 23 points heading into Qatar. 2nd last race of the season. And that means that we can win the championship in Qatar. If we outscore Thomas by 4 points, then we can become champion in Qatar. That's easier said than done though, because Thomas has been on it in qualifying over the past few races. Qatar is a very qualifying dominant track, and that means qualifying is going to be really important. A lot of fast corners, which means dirty air is going to be tough. It's tough to overtake because there are not a lot of braking zones. Tire wear is high, so that might make strategy interesting. But yeah, as you can see there, 28 points ahead of Ismail Fassi now as well. And we are 42 points ahead of Merck in the constructors. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and see you guys next time for the final 2 races of the F1 Esports World Championship. Ciao.